Welcome, Scott Carr, founder of AV8 Youth, and welcome to my free training series. This might be the first video that you're seeing, or it might be the third. Either way, that's okay. It's great to be with you here again on the topic of youth and self-belief and mindset education. It's a topic I'm very passionate about, and if you've been directed here by someone else, it's because someone cares about you and they want you to hear my message, which is wonderful. Let me start by just talking a little bit about why me? So my background is as an educator and as a parent and as a coach, and I've seen a lot in my time in terms of what allows people to really succeed at the highest levels. I've also learned a lot through trial and error in my own life. I remember exactly what it's like to be back in high school or in college and really wondering, have I found my life path? Am I working at my maximum? Am I achieving the best results that I possibly can? And then what does it really mean? Well, now I know how much education can take you, formal education, but I also know where the gaps exist. And I know that self-belief education is something that is a new area, doesn't really exist to youth, but the fact is that your age, if you're between the ages of say 16 and 25, a little bit younger is okay, a little bit older is okay as well. That's a perfect sweet spot to be able to really consider new information and make some changes for yourself. It gets really hard once you get into your 30s and 40s, trust me, to have a new reality and a new way of looking at yourself. So it's great if you're in that sweet spot. Perfect. It's great training. It's going to really serve you. All right. Again, now let me talk a little bit about why you. Now, at this point in time, you probably feel in your education that it's going to provide for you everything that you need in your life, whether you're in school, whether you've made a choice to not go to school and you've started a business or started a job. That's great, but the bottom line is we all have a different level to get to. We all have an area in our life that we can improve, and while it can be painful and difficult at times, certainly we all have a different level to get to. Although when we're young, we often get that mixed up, and we often feel that we either have it or we don't have it. We live in a world of either having talent or not having talent. The fact is, I'm going to tell you in this video that nothing could be further from the truth. All right. Why now? Well, if you're getting this video at the end of June or the start of July, where I am in North America, that usually means most students are taking the summer off, working. Perhaps they're doing some summer school. But the fact is, this is when report cards have come in, or it's usually a time of year when you assess yourself from the year previous. Ask yourself, where are you going? What lies ahead? I think it's perfect timing to really look at yourself, look at your results, and ask yourself, are you happy with where you're at? Are you totally motivated about what you're doing? Are you working at the highest achievement level that you can? And have you found your life direction? I mean, these are fundamental questions. I told you you're not going to get all this in school. That's part of the reason I've created this thought leadership, is to help you along with some great information to serve you so that you can figure out where you want to improve and how you want to improve. Okay, good. All right. Now, a couple more topics before we get into the meat and potatoes of this free training. Why beliefs? Beliefs are so important, and I'm not talking about political beliefs or religious beliefs. I'm talking about self-belief, and it's something that we take for granted. We don't understand that by the age of 6 years old, most of us don't understand, it took me a long time to figure this out, that by the age of 6, pretty much our self-expectations have been formulated. Our unconscious mind takes root, and everything we've learned in the first 6 years of our life regarding ourselves and what we expect of ourselves really is rooted. The fact of the matter is, if you're doing well in a certain area of your life, it doesn't have to do with talent. It's got far more to do with the fact that you believe that you can do it. And the reason you believe is that you've taken messaging from your parents, from the environment around you, and you've either applied yourself in those areas and succeeded, which means you believe more and more in yourself in a certain area, or conversely, if you're not doing well, it's not because you're not talented, it's because you don't believe that you can do that. Now, my own story involves mathematics. I was a pretty good student, I was an athlete, had a lot of fun in high school and in college, but I believed that I couldn't do mathematics, and that affected my performance right the way through high school. It affected every choice that I made regarding college and career, and really it was just a story that I was believing. Anyone can be good at mathematics. It depends what information you're feeding yourself. I'm going to get more into that in the next video, but I just want to tell you why we're focusing on beliefs today. And also, why not talent? We live in a world, you probably agree, that is champions talent. It puts people up on a pedestal that succeed, whether they're actors or athletes or politicians, and they really create the have and have not world. Let me take it back to my daughter right now, who happens to be 6 years old. Grade 1 is when you're starting to read, and she's already made up her mind about who's talented in her class and who isn't. For example, with respect to reading, she told me just the other day, such and such in my class is smart because she can read chapter books. So because my daughter is not quite up to reading chapter books yet, she sees herself as less talented. And that started when she was 4 and 5 and 6 years old. She's making these judgments and they tend to reinforce themselves. The only thing that can change in that is our belief. And I'm going to take you through a little graph now, which I think is going to help you paint a clearer picture of exactly what I'm talking about. All right, so I call this the belief talent graph, and I'm going to take you through this, and we're going to decide, actually you're going to decide for yourself which graph you happen to fit in. Again, I have belief here and talent level here, and this is negative or low belief, and this is high self-belief, this is perceived low talent, and this is perceived higher talent. Let's start with what I would call quadrant 4. For those people who have low belief and low talent levels, well, really, this is the lowest possible life trajectory. These are people that would end up significantly with frustrations in their life, and they're going to have a tough time. They're not going to get into a pattern of improvement unless they can hop to another quadrant. Okay, so in this quadrant, again, there's only one way out, there's only one ticket out, and that is to believe more in themselves, and they're going to get better results through belief. Now, an interesting quadrant that I'd like to get into next is quadrant number 3, where we have fairly high level of talent. We've been told that we're talented by our parents, by our teachers. We've equated ourselves as talented, a certain look, a certain ability, natural ability, but really we've rested on the talent and we have lower levels of true self-belief, okay? And so what we do in this quadrant is, as we go through life, we rely on our talent to see us through. That has certain limitations I want to draw to your attention, all right? The first limitation is that we're afraid to leave our comfort zone. Now, all growth in life, as painful as it can be and as challenging as it can be, all growth in life occurs outside of our comfort zone. Anyone in the professional development space, any actor, any athlete that's ever made it has gone through a period of discomfort. And when we're in this quadrant 3, relying on talent, we're afraid to get out of our comfort zone, and that is difficult for our life trajectory. And what we tend to do here is we develop what's called a fixed mindset. Now, Carol Dweck at Stanford University has pioneered a concept of fixed mindset versus growth mindset. And fixed mindseted individuals tend to, again, rely on their talent. They identify themselves and with their main strengths, and they're reluctant to look at areas that they find challenging. And the reason they don't want to get out of their comfort zone is because they're so attached to their version of talent that they don't want to face the facts of what it might feel like to be less talented. Okay, so there's a certain limitation here, and the only pathway to quadrant number 1, which is a quadrant where we all want to be, is through quadrant 2. Let me spend a little bit of time talking about quadrant 2, where we might not have as much talent, but we have high levels of belief. So in this quadrant, we have the ability to rely on belief to see us through difficult times. And when we rely on belief, it self-generates itself, okay, and it's very important. And when we believe in ourselves, okay, we also are willing to leave our comfort zone. We're willing to take risks. We're willing to try new things, and where we might fail, but really there's only success and learning in life. For people that have what's called a growth mindset, okay, development of a growth mindset, they look at the world as through learning and through success. There is no failure, and if it is failure, it's temporary. We get back on our horse, we get back up, and we keep moving. So ask yourself this: are you someone that's in quadrant number 2? Do you have a high level of self-belief so that the success that you've had in your life mostly has come through hard work? It's come through getting out of your comfort zone. It's come from taking risks and developing a growth mindset, which over your lifetime is the best path to renewed success and continued success. Where we all want to end up is an area where we have increasing talent and increasing belief. And this is the area in the quadrant number 1 where we have the highest life trajectory. If we learn the principles of a growth mindset when we're young, which I'm going to teach you more about, then we can enjoy the benefits of being super confident, super composed, have total self-belief. And what happens is we continue to get better as we go along. The last concept I want to leave you with here today in this free training is by the thinker Deming, who is the person who actually wanted to help the US improve its industry in the post-war era. And he talked about the idea of continuous improvement, particularly the automotive industry. Well, guess what? The automotive industry in the US, they didn't want to hear that. They thought they had everything figured out and no competition. And you know what Deming did? He went to Japan and he taught the Japanese in industry to continually improve every week, every month, every year. And you probably know the story. Sooner than later, the Japanese automotive industry caught up and surpassed the US automotive industry. So if we have the philosophy of continuous improvement, that is the highest life trajectory, and that's where we want to be. So anyway, it was fantastic to give you this free training here today and take you through the belief and talent graph. It's something I feel quite passionate about, as you can tell. And I'd love to spend some more time with you talking about our mind, our conscious mind, and our unconscious mind in the next video. So Scott Carr, founder of Aviate Youth, signing off. I'll see you next time.